Hey guys, I'm Cy. Welcome to Cardiff City World. As I ease my way back in, just a quick one today. It's going to be a breakdown mini. Let's get rid of the kitty cat. Breakdown mini, about 10 minutes or so, where I'm just going to kind of talk about Cardiff because I didn't have the pleasure of talking about Cardiff City in their recent form, really. Well, certainly since Saturday after the Plymouth game. But there's a few different aspects I just wanted to discuss about it. Do bear with me if I get a bit rambly. It is what it is, I suppose. So obviously the last two games we've played the same team, and one of the main changes, but slightly enforced, I think, because on Saturday against Plymouth, Siopis and Rawls were injured, so he didn't have a great deal of choices to play in the central midfield alongside Alex Robertson. But look, Robertson and Colwell, Tanner, they've all been superb. Of course they have. David Turnbull's really stood out. And I've been banging the drum since last year, since he signed, really, that I felt like he was a number 8 or certainly a deeper midfielder, someone who plays better with the pitch in front of him. A lot of people said, no, he's a number 10 or whatever. But I just felt like whenever he played in number 10, he really struggled with his back to goal or on the half turn. Whereas when he's got everything in front of him and he's coming onto the ball and he can see the players around, I think he links up play real nice. He's good on the ball. Like technically, he's excellent. He's quite aggressive, not like super aggressive, but like he harries about a bit. He presses. He wins the ball back quite well. And just gonna have a look actually at the Plymouth game. I'm pretty sure he won the ball back a few times. He lost possession a couple of times, which is, and you expect that in that sort of game. Made a couple of interceptions, won some ground duels, no aerial duels, completed 51 of 53 passes, which is a 96% accurate passing rate. I had 61 touches throughout the game. 3 long balls out of 3 long balls, found their targets. Very, very tidy with the ball. And I thought his partnership with Alex Robertson they've really complemented each other in both games, both the Plymouth and the Portsmouth game. Done really well. And I'm really happy for David Turnbull because he came in January and it did feel like Errol Bullitt didn't know what to do with him. Wasn't even sure if Errol Bullitt had wanted him or if it was a board signing. And he just couldn't quite work out what they were trying to do with him. And he very often was on the bench. Then they chuck him in at number 10 and he'd struggle and then he'd be on the bench again. And look, let's be honest. Cardiff City's number 10 should and will be going forward, I would imagine, Ruben Colwell. And quite rightly so. He had a 9.4 out of 10 against Plymouth. His last 4 games since Omar Rees has taken over, he's averaged, I think, 6.99 out of 10, which is like 7 out of 10 every game. Obviously, some games better than others, but he's been exceptional. He was very, very good against Portsmouth again. Plymouth, he was just out of this world. Bristol, he was very, very good. And even in the whole game, he was pretty good as well. So, Ruben's making that place his own. Who would have thought that, if you play Alex Robertson and you play Ruben Colwell in their positions from the start, they show the qualities. It was shock horror. I know. I think El Ghazi's game by game is getting better. He's nowhere near match fit still, which is madness. But because he started quite a few games now, but this just shows how long he's been out for. But I really like his link-up play with Turnbull and Colwell in the Plymouth and the Portsmouth games, particularly. But I thought he was pretty good against Bristol as well. Colwell, Robinson and Tanner and Robertson, like the whole link-up play going kind of through Ruben, behind and in front of him is excellent. Him and Tanner in particular link up really, really well. I'm still a little bit concerned with Omar Rees's subs. Not like massively like, oh my God, it's an issue. We got to moan about something. Just they don't make a lot of, some of them don't make sense to me. Like I thought Alex Robertson looked fit enough that he could have carried on. I agree that we probably needed some legs in there, and we probably could have done with Cyopis for Turnbull. I thought Cyopis was pretty good as well when he came on against Portsmouth. But I didn't think he needed to change out the whole midfield and then both wingers, because you lose a bit of momentum and you lose a bit of structure. We never quite, once, your Tanners and El Ghazis and Robertson and Turnbull all went off, we never quite got hold of the ball in the same way, and we never quite looked as dangerous on the break. Whereas I think there's definitely room where you could say, can you take Turnbull off of Cyopis, leave Robertson on, maybe get Willock on for El Ghazi, but leave Tanner on. You don't have to play. This is one of my pet hates with modern football, is that, use your squad, but use it when you need to use it, not just because you need to give everyone a game. It's not grassroots, or it's not kids football where everyone's got to play. Do what's best for the team. But maybe that's what is, and that's not directed at Omar Riza, by the way. That's just a general observation of football, modern football, I guess. And ironically, I think we've been very, very good. I think Jack Alnwick's been excellent. I think Callum Chambers has looked better. Gutas absolutely deserves his starting place. And it's funny because going forward, I believe, Bagan, Jesper Darland and Will Fish will be our three parts of our back four, probably for the next 5 years, with a bit of luck. But I like that Omar Riza isn't just rushing them back. He's not just rushing Jesper Darland back. He's not rushing to get Fish in the side. He's letting them get fit. He's letting them find their feet. And also, Gutas is doing well. Chambers is doing well. So don't just change him for the sake of it. The team is doing well. You don't need to make changes for the sake of it. This is one of the things which Errol Bullett used to infuriate fans, was just changing for the sake of it. Callum Robinson has been on. He's been in good form since the pre-season, let's be honest. His attitude, his work rate, he looks happy. And I'm so happy for him, because once a player loses the fans to a certain extent, loses the manager, and it's all a bit of doom and gloom, and he's not happy at the football club, it's very rare you see it turned around. And fair play to him. He's really turned it around, and I think he's been exceptional. Another one who's turned it around is Perry NG. Perry NG was another one who looked at the start of this season, just looked unhappy, like he was frustrated because he wanted to leave, and he just looked like a guy who didn't want to be here. All of a sudden, he's dropping 8 out of 10s and looks back to his best. The shithousery he's been back, all of it, he's been excellent. And he's such a clever player when he's on form. Just looking at his heat map, he doesn't overlap Tanner, probably because Tanner's so quick, but he gets right up behind him, and he will invert a little bit, but it tends to be in that space behind Tanner. Even he had an accurate pass rate of 82, which is pretty high for a fullback. Won 3 out of 3 of his ground duels, 50% of his aerial duels. You can't ask for any more than that from a fullback. Just want to have a look at what he's like, because he dropped an 8 out of 10 versus Portsmouth. Yeah, so since Omar Riza has taken over, he had a 6 out of 10 against Hull, which we conceded 4 goals, so defenders are going to get a low rating there. But then since then, he dropped a 7.8 out of 10 versus Millwall, 7.1 out of Bristol, 7.2 against Plymouth, and an 8 out of 10 against Portsmouth. That does feel like he's back to his consistent best. And there's no doubting that if he's back at his best, he is an absolute asset to Cardiff City. As I said last year, when he's at his best, he is one of the best fullbacks in the Championship, without doubt. Khan O'Dowda on that left-hand side is working quite well with El Ghazi, because El Ghazi will look to drift in, link up with Colwell, and then O'Dowda gets really high. And if you look at that, the heat map, he actually spent more time against Portsmouth in the opposition half on the wing than he did in his own half defending, which one shows his position, but also shows how on the front foot Cardiff City were. And I think it's really interesting, because we have blown up the league to 20th. 3 wins out of 4, unbeaten in 4. If we were to win against West Brom on Saturday, potentially, like obviously results got to go your way and stuff like that, we could go as high as 13th, which is, this league is just crazy. The goal difference is right down to -7 at the moment, but if we keep scoring goals at the rate we're going, playing football at the rate we're going, we will be right up there. And obviously the club has a decision to make now, because Riza, the last I'd heard just before I got my concussion, was that they were kind of going to play it by ear with him and give him, he was almost on like a rolling 3-game thing, not officially, but like essentially if things start to go wrong, they would bring someone in. If it was in the short term, it's probably going to be Steven Schumacher, and if it was going to be more long term, January time, then maybe it'll be Bilic or someone like that. But I just think at this point, he deserves to have till January at least. To me, like the main thing for me is the togetherness of the team. This team looked like a bunch of strangers only 4 or 5 weeks ago. Like some of them looked like they didn't want to be there. Some of them looked like they didn't like their teammates. And all of a sudden they look like a unit. They look united. They look on the same page. They're working hard for each other. They're working hard for the badge, for the fans. But most of all, they're playing football with a smile on their face. And I think most fans felt like we had a squad that was capable of doing well and playing good football. They just needed to have the shackles released and let them express themselves. Like Ruben Colwell in these last 4 or 5 games has been outstanding. I think he's been pretty consistent since January last year. But, I'm sure there'll be others who disagree. Still, he's still got things to work on. That's not to say he's perfect. But he's showing, and I think it's helping him he's got a mix of, he's got the youth of an Alex Robertson and Ollie Tanner around him, but then he's got the experience of El Ghazi, Robinson, Turnbull, Gutas, Chambers behind him, like some real experienced players in and around him. And it's an exciting time for Cardiff City, I've got to say. I'm genuinely interested. I've been a bit out the loop, and I want to say a massive thank you to Matthew, to Rob, to Reese, to all the people who do stuff behind the scenes and stuff. Thank you very much for kind of picking up the slack. Obviously, the girls who do the vlog on some match days. Matthew as well does the vlog. Like that has made it this week a little bit less stressful for me, because I haven't had to worry too much about. I was just getting out to cancel the breakdown on Sunday, but them all picking up the slack has meant that I think we've put out content every day except Sunday, which was my thing, and I just couldn't. I'm not quite there for a full show at the moment, but I wanted to do something because it's driving me a bit nuts, because I've not been on the radio, I've not been on the channel, I haven't been on my other channel. I think, producing content, talking about football, interviewing people, that stuff keeps my mental health in check. So it's been a long, long week. I'm hoping to do the live preview tomorrow. If I'm not feeling it like I'm going to be able to, then I'll probably pre-record a shorter one. So do bear with me, but there'll definitely be a preview. Maybe someone else will do it, or I'll just do a short recorded one, or I might end up doing it, see how I feel. Rhodri gigs on football on ACEpodcastnation will be Friday night at the moment, but that's up in the air as it is, because I'm not feeling myself, I've got to be honest. I'm surprised. I've had to give myself notes, which I never do. But it is what it is. It's not my first concussion. And but I did drive my car a little bit today, so yeah, we're getting there. But yeah, I've been out of the loop, so I want all of you to tell me what you've enjoyed over these last 4 games under Riza. Why is Riza doing a good job? Which players are benefiting from Riza being the manager? Why is Ruben Colwell looking so good? Why does Alex Robertson make such a big difference to his team? Why does David Turnbull look a different player alongside Alex Robertson compared to what he does when he played in the number 10 position. Why is Perry NG back to his best? How is Dimitri Gutas keeping out Jasper Darland and Will Fish out of the side? Nearly said Nicky Fish, and Will Fish out of the side. Jack Alnwick back to his best, really proving a point as well in goal. Callum Robinson. Is it as simple as happy players are good players? Who knows? Guys, thank you so much for your patience this week. I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate the texts, the messages, the DMs and everything. I'm literally at hundreds and there's no physical way that I'll be able to reply, but I will reply to every single one at some point. And I genuinely really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'm sure I'll see you very soon. Take care. Make sure you're subscribed, all that good stuff. And don't forget to become a member by pressing join Cardiff City World YouTube page in a bit.